One, two, three, live.
Hello, you people out there. So how you doing? My name is Dennis Ejogu, and I'm meant to give you a bit of a talk about what I do at the moment, which is film production. And so I started a couple of years back. Well, the dream actually started when I was 10 years old. I've always wanted to do something in media. So I used to like play around with my cassette recorders. I'll do a show. I'll imitate people's voices. That was as far back as when I was 10. And so looking at me, that's a lot of years back. So, but dreams will always haunt you in life, regardless of where you are. So my own advice to young people is no matter what really gives you life, that makes you passionate, that makes you see the colors in life, go for it, because that is always going to haunt you in the end. If you don't go for it, you'll not be happy in life. If your dream is to achieve XYZ, then please go for it. Anyway, so I've always had this thing about languages, so I speak 5 languages. And after graduating from the University of Lagos, I got straight into the airline industry because my sister was like, okay, you love to travel, so get involved with the airline industry. So I got into the airline industry, and after a couple of years, did consultancy, but I, had this passion, and that the passion really was about making movies. So I thought to myself, told my wife, hey, look, this is what I really need to do. And so I started off like 6, 7 years back and came out with my first movie, which was the Panic Room Encounters and the rest of them. But before I did go into movies fully, filmmaking, I had to train myself in different aspects of filmmaking because it's important for you to understand how the industry works. So you need to arm yourself with the right tools. You need to understand the terrain of the industry you're getting into. It's not just about being passionate. So the second step I'll advise you is get the training done, get to understand things, meet people, exchange ideas, and you need to synergize with the right people. What do I mean by that? People that really encourage your passion and give it that extra push. So that is what I did, and did my first movie, The Panic Room Encounters, did all the movies. And funny enough, I'm a bit like the Tyler Perry of Nigeria. I write my script, and sometimes I do act. So I guess the whole thing is making my dream come true. I look at the potency of a script, of a storyline, and I see it happen on air. So that's my own advice for people out there. Make sure that you follow your passion, go through the training, and and also, be with the right people. I love hanging out with young people because I think young people represent hope. Young people represent a different dimension to life. They see life differently from the old ones. The old ones are formed. Well, when I use the word old, young, I think to me, you could be old and still have a young mind. So you could be young and have an old mind. Your mind is set. So, but as a young person out there, and you're trying to actualize your dream, make sure you hang out with the people that have a young mind, so you can actually grow with them. They can help you realize your potential, which is very, very important. So that has been the journey so far. And I'll be honest with you, there's going to be obstacles along the way. There'll be times you feel like giving up. There'll be times you're asking yourself, how much am I making from this? But most importantly, like I said from the onset, your dreams will always haunt you. If your dream is to do fashion designing, it's going to haunt you. Maybe at night, you probably end up with the scissors and the material, and you're like, I'm going to cut something out of this, because that's always something, that's something you've always had within you. So, but another thing you have to understand is to be commercially viable. Your business or whatever you do at the moment in the industry has to be commercially viable. It's not just about saying, oh, I want to have a dream and I want to, for example, I want to tell the story of rabbits. If you tell the story of rabbits, the way you're going to tell the story of rabbits, is it commercially viable? Is it going to sell? Because, hey, you need to pay the bills. So you need to also understand the strategy of how to deliver your storyline. You have to understand the strategy of how to make money in the end, because you need to pay your crew. You don't want a case where after the whole production set, people come to your house and like, give us our money, blah, blah, blah. So that is very important. You need to have a very business angle to what you're doing, and then know the strategy. So beyond the passion on how to deliver. And most importantly, have a target. That's one advice I'll give to you. Have a target. What does that mean? That means you should tell yourself in the next 2 years, this is what I want to accomplish. The next 3 years, that's where I want to be. The reason why you should have a target is to position you in such a way that every action you take from that geared towards making you realize your goals. But if you don't have a target, if you're saying, I want to be a filmmaker, and you don't know what you want to do the next 1 year, and the next 2 years, 3 years, then that becomes a big issue. It's not going to work for you because obviously the way we're designed to work towards what we believe in. So, and within a space of time. So you should have a target. You should have a schedule. I'm going to do this at this time. I'm going to do that at that time. And of course, you have mentors in the industry. Who are my mentors in the industry? Obviously, Tyler Perry is one. I think he's very gifted, and he's been able to accomplish what a lot of people in his position wouldn't have been able to accomplish. We've had producers before Tyler Perry, directors, black directors before Tyler Perry, but he just came out different. He came out really different. And so it's important for you to have a mentor, someone that you look up to, someone you can actually somehow follow his rhythm, but not follow his rhythm to a certain point, and his business angle, learn his secrets, and see how that works for you. So that is what I think it's important for you to have a mentor. And it's important for you to have your colleagues in the industry, people that, you guys will exchange ideas, not people that want to compete with you, who secretly will wish you would not make it so that they will make it. But people that you guys are synergizing. I mean, there's one aspect of the industry that he's taking. For example, you could synergize. You could be a producer like myself. I'm a producer and a director. And you could synergize with someone who is a DOP, director of photography, someone who has this thing about camera angles, and both of you could actually work as a team. And so that is one of the ways you can sharpen your skills in the industry. Now, you found out that we have a lot of platforms who are interested in Nigerian content. So another thing is to ask yourself, who are these platforms? Maybe you're not looking at Nigerian content, you're looking at British content, you're looking at where to sell this British content. And it's to ask yourself, where can I sell this thing? So now the truth about it is, listen to this, the platforms have their own idea or they know the kind of content they want to buy. And so it's important for you to listen to them. They'll tell the technical angle, they'll tell you the kind of storylines, things you shouldn't do, blah, 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 blah. So that means you now fashion your content and make it viable, commercially viable to these platforms. Because if you don't follow that line, you might probably end up with what you term to be a great production, and you take it out there to the platforms, and they're like, oh my goodness, the camera angles, we want it to be the format, the screen format should be like this, blah, blah, blah. And that's the whole end of the project. So understand the technical formalities for each of the platforms and then work towards how to achieve them. And very importantly, you need to have your family support you. Because if you don't have family and friends support you, it's going to be virtually impossible for you to realize your dreams. Fortunately for me, I have a lovely wife. I have kids who, are there to make sure that I'm good. So that's the story, and that's what I have to offer.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming up today to talk to everyone, and we hope to bring you back very soon. I know we sent you to the wrong room. I really want to apologize live that you were here very early and we sent you to the wrong room. Thank you so much, Mr. Ejiogu, and we'll be in touch with you soon. And we hope to see you back here very soon. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome. All right.
Bye. Everybody say a big thank you to Mr. Dennis Ejiogu.
Thanks, and bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. All right, you're live. Take it away.
Hey, okay.
Good morning.
So, hi everyone. We're back here. Very happy to be sharing with you all these things that we have been sharing since the last 3 weeks. So, today is our last intervention. So, we have a lot of information to share with you today. So, last week, we talked about the business model canvas, how can we use it in our classrooms with our projects and with any idea that we have. We talked about the art of facilitating and how important is for us to manage how we communicate and how we work with this thing of entrepreneurship in our classrooms and how important is for us and for our students to have these new skills. So today we are going to talk a little bit more about more tools, a lot of tools. So you have to be very there's a lot of information for you today, and we are very happy to share this info and to let you know that these things are here for everyone. So Alex and Javier, we are going to be talking about that. So with no further intro, I'm going to let Javier keep going.
Good morning, everyone. Again, it's a great honor to be here and to continue discussing some tools and things that you can apply at your classroom with your students and make it a fun way of learning, but also of developing soft skills and all the skills they need in order to succeed. So since the beginning, we have using this roadmap as a way of identifying all the stages in the entrepreneurial process, and interesting for you to try to develop specific exercises for each of one. So today we will continue, and because we discussed the business model in the previous session, today at some point after we will discuss how to start executing your idea by communicating that idea. So the business pitch is going to be another stage that we will discuss. But before, we want to get into the reality of implementing entrepreneurial ideas. So we have to be sure to share that this is a hard road with a lot of obstacles, and but that's part of the learning process. So that's why we put a lot of attention in terms of failure, because sometimes we believe that failure it's is a bad thing. But in reality, we're talking about part of the learning process. So be sure to let your students understand the difficulties on the entrepreneurial process, the hard things you're gonna deal with during the process, but make sure that each stage is part of the learning process. And also, we have to deal with a lot of myths that are present in entrepreneurship, and we would like to share some of them. And I expect that you take the time to think about some other myth that exists in entrepreneurship, and please feel free to write them on the feed, on the comments feed. So think about what are those myths about entrepreneurship that you think we have to discuss, and we have to break down, right? So I want to discuss the first one, and this is, it says, we have to wait for all conditions to be met in order to start with our entrepreneurial idea, our business, and that's something that usually we learn in the past. We expect to have our projects very well developed, all the conditions, all the funding that we need, and then we start, and then we succeed or fail. In reality, we will never have all the conditions we need to start. So we have to iterate all the time. We have to start with what we call the minimum viable product. So what is the simplest concept or idea or experiment that I can implement or apply as early as possible and put the product in front of the customer, because the customer is the one who is going to help me finish the product and end the design and the development of the product. So be sure not to expect everything to be completed. Just decide when is the time to launch as early as possible, and based on that, you will learn a lot. You will iterate, you will correct some aspects, and then you will move forward with a better product. Don't expect to have all financing, because most of the time it's not going to be there when you want it. So be sure to move forward with small steps and small experiments that will help you continue developing the idea. So that one first myth that we have to deal with when working with entrepreneurial ideas from us or from our students.
The second myth is that is possible to do it alone. So we want to, we have our idea, we think that is the best idea ever. So we think that we have this like diamond, and we have discovered, this thing that is going to make us millionaires. So we don't want to share it, and we want to do this alone. And the real thing is that no spectacular project has been done alone. You have to have your team. The most important part from the founder perspective is that you have clear what is the purpose of your project. So if you have clear your purpose, you can transmit that to your team. So you can lose that fear of somebody trying to steal your ideas. That is very common. A lot of people come to us in our office, and they tell me, I want to share you my idea, but I need you to sign me a non-disclosure agreement. And I am like, I am not going to sign anything like that, because I hear a lot of ideas every time, and I can control that people think the same way that you do. So if you start with me that conversation with an NDA, you are saying to me that you don't trust me, and you cannot start a relationship with that kind of thing. So non-disclosures agreements have their purpose, and it's not in this part of the process. And actually, if you think that you can do this alone, you have to think that you are one person and they have 24 hours. So you have capacity X to do things. So this is a very important conversation, because in some point you have to think, you want to have a self-employment, or you really want to build a business and create wealth for you and others. So that is a conversation that is important in this process in the beginning part, actually, because the person, the founder, is dealing with, I don't want to share it, I am not sure, I have a lot of fears, I have to work with all that. So it's important that the support system that is created around the entrepreneur help them go through that phase of the fear of sharing. So that is a myth. Once you put that aside, you can really grow your project. You can really access a lot of resources, and there's a lot of people willing to help if you ask for that help. And in order to ask, you have to be willing to share. So that part, you have to work with that, and the program or the project that is promoting or fostering entrepreneurship has to take that into consideration. For us, identifying that part in our program and our process has been very important to provide the correct tools and skills to the entrepreneur to move on. Alex, we don't hear you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. Especially, I want to send a big hi to Roland from Evander, South Africa. Is with us today. We're going to explain myth number 3, and it says that don't let anything change your idea. Basically, what it means is that Sometimes you love so much your idea that you don't want to change it. And ideas are like little kids. They grow, they change, they transform. And even though you think that you have the best or the greatest idea, ideas have a way of transforming in some ways that when you start looking at them, they are completely different from the beginning to the end. One of the things that I always recommend is, first of all, when you have an idea, start looking for the opportunity. What that means is check if there is a market, check if there is a need, a real need, check if there is people will be willing to pay. Use the tools that we explained before. In other words, don't just talk about the idea, start moving forward to see if that's an opportunity. And if that's an opportunity, then go to the next process is to validate that idea. Just to give you some examples, and this happens to small companies, individuals, big companies. Pixar, a very well-known animated company, they started working in computers, and then they find out that they were good doing animation. So they changed from a computer company to an animation company. And another example is Nintendo Wii. Nintendo Wii was developed for kids between 13 and 18 years old. Suddenly, in the United States, they discovered that elderly people they need ways of having fun, doing sports, and then they discovered that we can be a great product to help people that cannot move so well to do exercises, and that's what they did. So they suddenly open a new market. So sometimes ideas you have to let them grow, you have to let them change. And to do that, be open, hear, study, talk to many people, and remember, don't let that idea stay still. So that's our recommendation for myth number three.
So
Well,
we have a few comments here, and one myth here that is in the chat is I am not good enough, and that's really a thing of a mindset. Thinking that we are not good enough. And the way I work with that is that I always talk to people and I always say, okay, how many of you work? Every A lot of people have worked before, and when you are working, you do the best and the best and the best for the people who you are working for. So why can you do the same thing for you? And that's the way that we start working around that, because you do the best that you can for the people that are paying you, that are giving you your employment. And sometimes it is not well recognized, so you know that you can do a lot more, uh, and you can do it for you. And in that particular part, a lot of people like said, I always ask how many years you have been thinking about starting something for you. A lot of people say 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And I say, why have you been thinking about it so long? Why can you take the first step? And it's a lot of, I am not good enough. I have a lot of fear. I am not sure. But you really do it for other people. So it's a thing of mindset and giving people the tools. That's how I've been working around that. But it's true, we have a lot of doubts, and it's normal. I think that is part of being a person. That's why in my organization we start from this value of us that behind every business there is a person who took the decision to start a business. So we have to understand that behind the businesses there are people with a lot of things and a lot of experience in their backpacks, and a lot of failures and success and knowledge, uh, and all of that combined make you the perfect person for starting whatever thing that you want to start. So that's how I work with that. With I am not good enough.
There's another comment, Nerma, that says, let me see where I find it. We will do it later. And I think that you addressed some of this just right now. The fact that opportunities are really windows of opportunities. It happens in a certain time. So we have to move forward with our ideas, or other people will do it. So timing, it's something very important in entrepreneurship. So the thing that I have this great idea, but I will implement it later, probably there will be a lot of people thinking about the same thing at the same time. So be sure to move forward, because we have a lot of things. We have a lot of things going on. So focusing and trying to implement the faster as possible is another thing that we have to address. So I agree with Jacob. Yeah.
There is also a third comment about how we meet people who are willing to help. You have Coderina, now you have Nerma, you have Javier, you have Alex, and the way you start is now you have a lot of people, and also you have a lot of people here right now in the chat. You know what? I think that we have so much people that are willing to help that sometimes we don't start doing it. We have to start, as Nerma mentioned, with ourselves. And if you want to do anything, just start talking with the friend that you have, with people, with your colleagues, and also with the people that you are looking or hearing in this webinars. Why? Because our purpose is not just to be here and talk, is to be here and help. So one of the best suggestions is use the internet, use LinkedIn, use social media, and start finding out with whom you want to talk. Write him a letter, an email. Just be, just take the initiative. If and I'm going to leave Nerva with this. Just remember, the world is in your hands. Here, use it.
And I would like to add that we have the power to choose with whom we are going to relate. So I don't want to be with people that are like thinking about all the bad things that are happening. I want to be with people that that sees all the opportunities that we have now, even though we are in a pandemic and we have a lot of other things happening. So you have the power to choose where you're going to spend your time, with who, in what activities. And I think that thinking about where you spend your time and what activities you choose to do is part of is an asset. Your time is an asset, and you have to invest it, and you have to see what is your return on investment in that part. So I see it like that. I have the power to choose. So when I understood that at the first time, I choose where are the activities that I went, with whom I'm going to relate, with what professionals I admire, with whom I want to know more about them. And I started to ask, and at the beginning, I was like, I had a lot of fear, and I was like, I don't know if they're going to listen to me. I don't I don't know. So when I started to ask, it was very surprising for me, because it was a matter of me asking, and a lot of good things happen because I choose to ask, and I choose to not have fear. And so that is a process. Some people have to go there and experiment that. Other people need to read a lot or do whatever you think you need to do it, but do it and relate with people that are in the same mindset that you, that want to grow and that see opportunities. I don't want to be with people that see problems, that do not want to be part of the solution. So that's part of it. There's another comment here that says fear of or doubt of failing. That's normal. Is part of it, and it's true. And I understood too that it's normal, because when I began to talk with other colleagues, entrepreneurs, and we talked about it, everyone has fear. Everyone. And everyone has failed 1, 2, 3 times. And when I started to hear their stories, I was like, oh my God, I have a lot to learn. I have a lot of failures more to go on in order to be really successful. And I understood that part. So knowing that is normal is part of the process, and it is not failure. It is things that you have to learn in order to grow. And when you started to see it in that way, it's very transformative. It's not the way that you fail, it's the way that you rise up, the more important part. And if you fail and you don't learn, that's where you really fail. So if you fail and learn, you really are growing and you're really going to go uh, get very, very, very far. So
Nirma,
that's part of it. Yeah.
I think that there's a couple of comments that are all related to trust, self trust, and I think that's something we have to address when we confront scenarios of uncertainty and risk taking. Usually, we will start creating those blocks. That no one has done this in my family. The government will not approve it, or people are not going to accept it. So we start creating a lot of barriers in our minds. So I think it's very important to address the idea of trying to trust in our idea and test, and test. We will never know if the government will approve it if we don't test it. We will never know if the market will accept it if we don't go out there and test it. So it's part of the process. So I just want to make that comment.
Let me add to that, Javier and Nerma. One of the most famous entrepreneurs, especially transformational entrepreneurs of the last, um, I will say, 40 years, is Jack Welch. And Jack Welch was a former CEO of General Electric. And basically, he had a great way of looking at life and a strategy to do entrepreneurship. He said there are three things you have to take on mind. One, don't give me excuses. Two, be positive. And three, just go there and do it. So he simplified in three basic steps. And one of the things, as Nerma and Javier are saying, don't be afraid. I will be more afraid if I will never do anything, because then I will never know if my life was thrown away or I really did a change or transformation. So don't be afraid. It doesn't matter if people don't hear about it. If it's the first time, better, because that means that you're thinking something that probably nobody else have done before, and you have an edge. So that's the things that you have to be aware. And I will finish saying that my father always told me, if you're going to start anything, never think that you're going to fail. That doesn't mean I'm going to fail, but the idea is that when you start thinking that everything is possible and that you're going to, whatever problem it is, you're going to resolve it. And don't think so much in the negative, think more in the positive. Positive energy is stronger than negative energy. Just go ahead and you will see that things, if you think that way, even though sometimes you will have like difficult times, you will see you will get to the place you want.
That's great. So I think we were going to move forward to the next section. And by the way, one of the best things and exercises and dynamics and tools to address this issue about insecurity is going out there and sharing our idea. So that's the next topic we want to discuss. We have to let our students be sure and have the self-confidence of standing there and sharing what they believe, what they want, their ideas. So that's the what we want to put some emphasis on the business pitch. But first, we want to see one example of a pitch, and then we will discuss it.
Okay. Ponlo de nuevo para yo empezar aquí.
Okay, let's
Start again.
okay. You want to stop share? You want to share it?
No, start again.
Okay, let me just.
We have almost perfected form of advertising. We will
discuss it.
Yeah. Okay.
My name is Josh Light, and I'm the CEO of Cuphead. We believe that we have the most effective form of advertising available in the market today. Our advertisements are exposed to customers for 2,340 seconds on average. Now, what kind of advertising has that kind of exposure time? Ladies and gentlemen, we advertise on coffee cups. That's right. We put your brand in their hand. So how does advertising work? Well, we got an advertiser. They pay us money. We produce paper coffee cups with their advertisement or brand on it. Then we give these coffee cups to coffee stands for free. Now, why does someone want to advertise on a coffee cup? Because it takes an individual 37 minutes to drink a cup of coffee on average. That person's going to have to look at the cup, drink, look at the cup, drink 20 times before it's fully consumed. And that person's going to move around like a mobile billboard, exposing that brand to at least 6 different individuals before that cup is drank. What's in it for Cuphead? We make 13 cents of profit on every single cup that we distribute. And what's in it for the coffee stands? Well, when most people think about coffee stands, they think about Starbucks. But what about the 25,000 coffee stands in this nation that have plain white cups like this? They don't have the economies to scale to put their own brand on the cup. So we give them free cups. They save $15,000 a year by not buying cups. They like them so much, ladies and gentlemen, that approximately 80% of the stands that we've contacted have signed exclusivity agreements to distribute our cups. What kind of momentum have we started for this company? The last month alone, we got 58 coffee stands in California to sign exclusivity agreements with us to distribute our cups. If we continue to get 58 coffee stands every single month, for the next 12 months, we will have 700 coffee stands at the end of the year. With 700 coffee stands, we can move 8 million cups a month. And at 13-cent profit, 8 million cups a month, we're making over $1 million of profit every single month. And we've already started this, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, our first customer, Overstock.com, will see their cups hit the California market in 21 days. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you saw an example, and you listened to an example of a pitch, which is very intense, short time, short period of time. You have to deliver a message. You have to tell a story. And I think that the key word, the most important keyword of the business pitch is storytelling. And I believe that's a great skill we have to develop in our students, not for business development, but for life. And we have to tell stories all the time, and that's a skill that you will develop with time. So start thinking about how students can try different methods and techniques of being concise, of being creative, and I mean, try to make students write their stories and their ideas in 140 characters from a tweet, right? That could be a very simple way of doing this. There is also the elevator's pitch, which is kind of an idea of trying to share an idea in 1 minute. And then you have a rocket pitch, which usually we use 3 to 5 minutes, or 5 minutes, 5 slides, no more than that. And we have a lot of different scenarios that we can use in order to share an ideas. And you have to ask, what's your story? And usually when you tell a story in terms of pitch, you have to share what is in for them, what it's in for the people who are listening, what problem you're solving, what is the value added, what's the problem, make people sure that they understand what's the problem, and that they are part of the problem. Because if they're part of the problem, if they experiment that same problem, it would be easy then to share a solution for that. So also the idea of the elevator's pitch, which is kind of a fun way of sharing, because and the idea is that usually you will not get more than 45 seconds, 1 minute in an elevator. And what would you tell a potential investor or collaborator if you find him on an elevator and you have this opportunity of going with him for 45 seconds or 1 minute? And you have to be very strategic, because some people would think that you go into an elevator and you sell something and someone will buy it. That's not the case. The case is how you are interesting enough in order to make people continue the conversation. So what you want in a scenario is that, and don't think about an elevator, think about a networking event. Think about someone introduced to you and other people that you think is going to be a great collaborator. What can you do? How would you build a conversation of maybe 1 minute that make that person interested in calling you, in giving you his or her business card, and moving forward with the conversation? So I think that's something that you have to practice, that you have to understand your audience. You have to see who you are talking to. It's not the same thing talking to potential investors, to collaborators, to government. So be sure you understand who's your target and you apply your pitch to reach them. This is another interesting example of a structure for a pitch. And I like it because it has a lot of influence from script writing, right? You create empathy. You start with things that people know. You don't want to put people in a stressful situation by asking questions they don't know the answer. So be sure to create empathy at the first stage, and then try to create some suspense. This is what happens in good movies, right? You provide an insight, you provide an opportunity, and then you present an analogy that people will say, wow. And then you move into the solution. And then that's when you make them believe, right? That's when you say, what's your solution? What are the competitive advantage that you have? And what is the differentiation that makes you a better solution than others that exist in the market? So if you see, it's kind of a great suspense or drama movie, and that's how you build a pitch. So, but now let's go back to the video that we saw, and let's discuss it and comment why this is an example of a great pitch.
Thank you, Javier. I don't know if you can see it, but I know that some of the participants were asking for the link. The link is in the bottom part of the picture. So I don't know if you...
Coderina, so you can have it. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. As Javier was explaining, when you're doing a speech, basically what you're trying to do is tell a story. But to tell a story, you have to have an impact way of doing things. So what I'm going to try to do is go through the video, but not through the stages. That I mean is that the stages are problem, solution, what is the market model, and what I need to go forward. In this case, what I'm going to try to show you is how the presentation should go. What is the flow of the presentation? And as you can see, if you remember, presentation started with a dynamic welcome. The name of the presentator is Josh Light, CEO of Cup Ad. And he said, I'm going to present the most effective way of advertising. So immediately I capture your attention. And with that, I can go to the next step of the presentation. Nerma, please, or Javier.
Javier.
That's the promise. And when you're in front of people, you are telling them that in this case, Light is saying, we put your brand in their hands. The idea that he's presenting is going to make their brand visible anywhere. Next. Third step. Then he tried to describe in a very simple way how this is going to work. First, he's going to find advertisers. Second, he's going to produce coffee cups with the logos of the advertising and advertisements. And then he's going to give them for free to the coffee stands. 1, 2, 3. Every time that you try to produce steps, try to do a 1, 2, 3 steps program. That's easier, easy to go, easy to learn, easy to follow. Next step, he talks about the benefits. Well, for the advertisers, they will have a product that they will be, an advertising that is going to be 37 minutes for every person that is drinking coffee and have the cup. For the company, Cup Ad, 13 cents per cup. And for the coffee stands, basically, well, they're going to receive free coffee cups. That means that they're going to be saving around $15,000 a year just because they don't have to pay for coffee cups. So with that said, we go to the business model, and he explained it. We only have to find out the stands, multiply them by the month, made them sign an exclusivity agreement. And if you add and multiply, that's why he get to the number of $1 million monthly in revenues. And after that, you finish with a guarantee. You have to do a great closing. And his closing is that he is reminding people, my first customer, a huge .com company, is going to have their cops in the streets in 21 days. So in that way, if you can see dynamic welcome, sales promise, business description, benefits, business model, and closing in 2 minutes, that's the way you sell an idea. And by the way, Mr. Light, I find in the LinkedIn, he has 3 companies right now. So this is something that you can learn in the classrooms, but it's very helpful to help you when you go to your professional life. I think that's everything
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah, Dennis Philip here has a great question, and he's asking about the fear of public presentations and speaking, and how we overcome or prepare. Yes, that's a huge thing, and you have to put it out there. So the way that I prepare my students and the people that we work with is we go step by step. So we train them to know the basics of the business pitch, the reason why this is important. And we started like in small presentations. First, you present with your peers, with us. We start with a little bit of constructive feedback. We uh, record them, so we see the recording with them to understand how you are speaking, what are your movements, how you are representing your message. So we go step by step, understanding that is a process, that you have a lot of fear, that the first times you are going to be very nervous, but we have like understood that in the way that you do it the first time and the second time, then when you go to other programs like accelerators, you are ready to do it. And the people that we have been training, and we started little by little, at the end their presentations are superior by far. So being able to teach your students in the classroom, that is a very controlled environment, or in entrepreneurship programs in a very controlled environment with very constructive feedback, it for me and in my programs has made a difference. So that's how we prepare with that. So the pitch is a tool, and it's a tool to get you to the next step, to get the investments, to get what you need to make your project. So it is very important for you to know your canvas, and to know and to do the due diligence to be able to communicate what you really need to move forward. So at the end of the day, having the pitch very well stated will help you to move forward with your business. A lot of times, you know your project, you can talk about it, but at the end, you don't talk about what you need. So that's why the pitch have a structure where you talk about the problem, the solution, the target market, how you're going to do money, and what do you have and what do you need. And you end with a closing, and you end with an ask. So that's the important part of knowing this tool, because at the end of the day is a tool, and to practice. So for my students, I tell them to record themselves. They send me their videos, I give them their feedback. They then talk, they have at the end of the semester the presentation. In my classes, the end project is your 5-minute pitch, and that pitch has to be like super perfect. But we have been working around that pitch through the semester, and they have been practicing by themselves in the classroom with constructive feedback. So at the end, they make like super spectacular pitches, and they are prepared to go to the next step in other programs too. You can move on.
Okay, so we're almost at the end. We want to share with all of you a list of tools to start your transformation. And before I start, I want to also say hi to Dennis. Dennis is one of my students, and he's in Florida right now. So welcome, Dennis. The seven elements or seven key tools that we want to share with you. Some of them you will have to build them, and for that you will need to make like a group, a team. Some of them you can use them immediately. Some of them you can participate on them, and some of them are probably available just with a minimal investment. At the end, the last one, the number 7, talks about how we're going to prepare the environment for the classroom. So we're going to start with each one of them. The first one is, and this is something that I think Javier mentioned at the beginning of this webinar 4 weeks ago, and that is you have to create like a curriculum. And that curriculum has to be something that you do to start a train of trainers. In our case, Echar Palante is a huge and incredible project in Puerto Rico that is taking the initiative in what we call entrepreneurial education and is building this critical mass. In the process, it has four workshops that we have to take. Entrepreneurial mindset, that is basically the one that we're giving here. And then we have other 3 that are taken by professors in universities that will help us and will train us so that we can then teach teachers in the schools. And we do that. We have taught, I don't know, I think it's 3,500 teachers in Puerto Rico. And the idea is that you create this critical mass, but you have to start with a group of people. Second, in this same idea, you have to create or establish a model. In our case, the model that we created, that Chuck Palante created, sorry, is called the Boricua model. And this model has 3 basically areas. 1, to develop STEAM, effect, and interconnectivity skills in students. To add different languages and coding learning to the students in the classroom. And also to establish a set of extracurricular activities that integrates in all this process to motivate, to create experiences, to create internships, and also to start an early exposure of students to the university. The objective, well, to create world competitive citizens. With that model, and if you can move to the next one, Javier, thank you. That model works with different activities and different projects. And then here are some of them. For example, Echar Palante is the main project, is the integration project that is working all around the island. But you have Escuela Faro, that's an entrepreneurship pilot project in schools. Emprende 100 times 100, that's the teachers' entrepreneurship workshop. You have specialized schools, and you have one competition that's island-wide, and there are thousands and thousands of students that participate, and also professors. With that, we put together also what we showed before, the training program. And then one thing that is very important is that you have these alliances with major sectors, the private, public, government, the nonprofit, and academia, so that they agree to help to develop this in a huge way. So this is a Puerto Rican model, or the Boricua model. Now I'm going to share another model that I found. Oh, sorry. Before that, this is part of the model, and this has taken a lot of time, probably 5 years in the making. And this is the steps that the model follows, from the build of the movement, the build of the people that are going to be working, and the strategies that are going to be implemented. So as you can see, in Puerto Rico, we have gone through a process. Yes, Norma, you want to say something?
Yeah, I would like to add that this has been possible because we have like a super champion, and in this case, is the most important bank in Puerto Rico that chose to implement this strategy. So they got the power to sit everyone in a table and to put everyone to think towards one goal, and that has made the difference. So if you want to transform your educational system, or you have to start by finding who is going to be that champion that get the power to sit down everyone and to guide this process. So in the way, at the very beginning, the three of us are in this process from the first day. That's why we can do this today. So we have been training and exposing ourselves to a lot of entrepreneurship models around the world and the best practices. But it is possible because the bank has give us the space and the way and the means to be able to learn all the things and to work with this model.
Also, in addition to what Nerma said, it's very important. There is a huge champion, and it's called Miss Gloria Vizcasillas, and she's the integrator leader. So she's the one that have put all this together with a huge group of collaborators that probably right now is in the thousands. But she started by herself and grew this into a island-wide project. So I think that you should consider, if you want to do a transformation in Nigeria, to start finding these examples. However, if you don't know how to start a model, if you don't know how to do things, because, oh, this is very complicated, I have a suggestion. And if you pass to the next slide, this is the JEDAC model. The JEDAC model is a three-step model that helps explore, develop, and deliver. This is a model that was produced by several European professors. And this is something that is completely free. You can download their handbooks, you can download their toolbox, and you can download their teacher's guide. It's a wonderful and complete project. It's a complete model that you can use to help in your classroom. And it can be downloaded in Spanish, English, or French. And it's 100% complete. Everything put together. The only thing you have to do is probably adapt it to Nigeria. But in terms of everything else, you have the building blocks completely professionally validated, and is being used a lot in Europe. So that means that one of the steps that you need to find out is how to create the model. But then you have to go to the next tools, the tools of transformation, teachers, recognitions, and competition. One of the things that I think teachers, and that I think address many of the questions that you have, teachers don't do is they don't present ideas, they don't present the projects that they are working right now. And there is a lot of competitions in the United States and all around the world. By the way, Roland was in Philadelphia last year with a scholarship because of that. And I think that you have to just go out in the internet and start finding what type of awards are given for educators in entrepreneurship, or what type of opportunities they are. Because I'm going to show you just several of them. There are dozens that I have found that are incredible. The other one is, for example, the Allen Distinguished Educator Award. These are in the United States. Let's go to the next one, Javier. This is also another one. This is the Milking Educator Award. And also, this is one type of project and award that is given in the United States. And let's get to the next one, because this is the one that I'm going to explain. This one for me is very special. It's the Levy Awards. Levy Award is an award that is given for the execution of excellence in private enterprise education. And I was so, I don't know how to say it, but I was so happy to receive it in 2015. And then after that, I helped 3 other professors in Puerto Rico to do that. This is a very incredible opportunity because they the only thing you have to do is present your project, send your project, and if they select your project, they will give you an award. All these awards have as you can see, money as part of the price, but also they have a all expenses paid presentation. They take you to whatever the summit is taking place, and then you present to many other teachers from the nation. And this type of projects, they are in Europe. I know of them, and it's just go into the internet and find them out. They are incredible transformational experiences for professors and teachers. So I would recommend that if you have done something special, find out these projects and start presenting them to them. And maybe you are not selected the first time. It doesn't matter. Present it again. And you will see that if you are selected, again, it's completely a mind-blowing opportunity for teachers and professors. And your work has to be learned, have to be shown, and people have to know about it. Next, Javier. And this is one that is nationwide. This is the National Teacher Award for teachers. Sorry, award. Sorry for the repetition. And this one is a very special one because the award is given by the president, and the awardee, the recipient, has to stay for 1 year offering lectures all around the nation. And it's incredible because she also raised funds for education. So this type of activity is out there. Just go to the internet and find out. Let's go to the next. Okay, the next type of tools is also how I can make this possible for students. Well, it's the same thing. There is a lot of competitions, like the Diamond Challenge. It's a competition that students can compete. Let's go to the next one, Javier. This is one that is very interesting. It's School Enterprise Challenge. This is an international competition, and in 2015, almost 3,000 schools competed from 100 nations. And this is a very attractive project because it gives the students opportunity to work with social projects, with environmental projects. And here, what you have to do is work with your students, create a business plan, and just submit the business plan. There are awards, in this case, up to $50,000 in prizes. So we're talking about major help for your school, for students, that is waiting for every one of you just to present your wonderful projects that you're doing in your schools. Next. Javier. This is an example. I will really, the link is also in the page. This is an example of 5 teachers that they were from Spanish, English, math. They didn't know each other, and they built this project. It's called Sugar Kids Beauty. This is a wonderful project that really shows how you can build something great, even though if you don't know what you're doing. And they were also recognized by the Libby Awards. And just to give you an idea, they teach students how to deal with internet, how to develop a product, how to manufacture a product, how to deliver products in any part of the world. And they create everything from advertising. Everything is done by the students. So I will really recommend for everyone to see this example. The link is there, and you will see how interesting for you as a teacher and for them will be to integrate this into your schools. The next one, please. Okay, next step. You need also tools. Another type of tools is educational material that you can use. Well, there is a complete, I will say, well, there are hundreds of platforms that offers this. I'm going to show you only 2 or 3. One of them is TED-Ed. TED-Ed has over 225,000 educational lessons available for free. They have videos. They create clubs for students. This is something that you can start with your students in the classroom, and you can connect with students all around the world. And you can use this in math, in English, because they have lessons for everything. Next, please. This is one that you're going to love, the EverFi platform. This is a complete entrepreneurial program from K to 12. They have everything you need, everything, lessons, they have curriculums, they have everything done. It's free, it's in English, you can use it, it's amazing, and the mission is to empower organization to connect education to the real world. Again, links are there also for you to see. Next. Again, maybe, I don't know if you have heard about this, Teachers Pay Teachers. This is a wonderful platform that you can buy and sell educational materials, and they are very inexpensive, maybe $5, $6. And a lot of teachers create great projects. They put them there, they sell it, and you can buy from them. So you can buy incredible games and things that are produced by teachers. So they have the educational background, and they are amazing. So this is available. It's called Teachers Pay Teachers. You can go to Google and you will find it, and it's really, that's an amazing site, an amazing platform. Next. I don't know if I'm going to have enough time for this. Okay, I'm going to try.
You don't have enough time, so you have to rush.
Okay, so I'm going to go through just 6 and 7. 6 is different apps. This is an amazing site. You have to find this that is called EdShelf. You will find any type of app that you need to teach anything, and it's they are organized by categories, and they are also ranked and rated by educators. So EdShelf, anything that you need is in EdShelf. So find it. Some examples of them, and just let's go. You can find how to do a presentation. Go again, Javier. Next one. You can find animation programs, very easy to use to help students do activities and storytelling in their classroom. Next. And then we have also one important thing, music. Music is important. Beethoven said that music is the electrical soil which the spirit lives, thinks, and invent. Imagine using music to cultivate entrepreneurship in your classroom. Children are going to love it. You're going to enjoy it. Just find a way of introducing music. And I'm going to, let's go to the next 2 or 3 slides. They talk about different studies done by Stanford University, European universities. And basically, music is not just for entertainment. It helps you develop a lot of things: attention span, visualization, memory. Next. Also, it also helps in your test results. Is amplify imagination, develop the creative thinking, and build even self-confidence. So if you use music in your classroom, it doesn't matter what you teach. You will see it's going to help in many ways, and these have been proven before by different universities and associations. Next. Gamification, I'm only going to say that this is something that is incredible. You have to use it. Gamification is not playing video games, it's introducing gaming activities to the classroom. And it's also proven by the University of British Columbia that increased engagement, interaction, empower students, develop decision making, and it also help in what I call the edutainment process, is to educate with entertainment. And I think we get to the last one. Yes, if you want to do this, an incredible experience in your school, you have to prepare the environment, and that means your classroom have to be a complete different classroom. You have to try to promote collaborative entrepreneurship. You have to be an inspired mentor, but also you have to give the tools for them to work. Like if this was a little kindergarten or an elementary very school, just do it yourself concept activities are wonderful for them because they use their mind, they use their creativity, they use their creative thinking, and also they integrate design to everything that they do. The most interesting thing that I have learned from using this type of 1, 2, 3, 4 elements in the classroom is that at the end, students get more involved with each other. Teamwork is more fun. is easy to work, and leaders are discovered in a easier way, because sometimes that's the problem. Who's going to be the leader in the team or in the group? So remember, if you connect all these tools, and sorry, we have gone like very fast through the tools. If you do this tool, this complete package, you will see that you can start your entrepreneurial program tomorrow. Any help, Nerma, Javier, myself, Coderina, we are here to help you.
We're
Please.
here.
Okay. So nice to talk to everyone. And I think that Nerma, we're going to finish, no?
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready for our big finish.
Okay, let's take it. This is the way we finish our workshops, and we hope you enjoy it. Just go with the commitment of the professor.
That was us in the making of this
In the making.
in the making
Very
of
fun.
yeah, we really had like a super good time. We have been having a great class during doing this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we are very honored to have the opportunity of sharing this with you guys over there. I would love to see your faces and to dance with you. So I hope that
Next time.
next time we can have that opportunity. But thank you, Coderina, for having us these 4 weeks, and we are here for anything that you need.
And feel free to contact us if you need any resources, any help, anything that you want. Just feel free to reach out and at that contact information. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, professors. We really appreciate you turning up to do this for us. And we hope you'll be back soon at some point in the future. Thank you so much. And I hope everybody enjoyed having the professors around. That's a rhetorical question. They really did. All right, so we're going to end now on that very good note. Never gonna say goodbye.
That's true.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.